All right. Good evening, everybody. We are here for another episode of Release the Quacken. We're going to talk about week number 11 on our recap, see how things went, and talk about what's coming up in week 12 and kind of see how things are going. I'm joined tonight by our friend Gene and Jody, Kevin, and our special guest Tyler. How's everybody doing?
Hey,
Good,
everybody.
good.
Good.
Pretty good.
Lonnie's having some technical difficulties tonight, but I think he's going to jump on here in a few minutes, so hopefully he can get his internet stuff worked out. So I know the four of us are running dopey this year. What are you running down at Marathon Weekend, Tyler?
I am just running the marathon.
Just the marathon.
No, just.
Just the marathon. Yeah.
That's so funny the way people say that. Just the marathon.
Right. I mean, compared, it's not a lot, I guess.
It's a lot.
It's 26.2 miles. It's more than most humans do in a lifetime. It's a lot.
Yeah.
You'll learn a lot about us if you're with us in the full. You give enough time to spill your entire story.
Yeah, for sure.
It's about 7 hours of life that you're never going to get back.
But it's great.
Right?
It is.
So if you're doing just the marathon, you are following pretty much the same dopey training plan that we are, but without the back-to-backs, right? You're doing 30 to 45 minutes twice a week, and then the long runs follow the same as what we're doing, right?
Right. Yes.
Okay. All right. So since you're basically on the same place we are, how'd everybody do this week? Jody, I know you're a little modified, so we'll start with you since you're the oddball here.
I am the oddball. Plus, I got to represent the ladies in the house. So, I did, because, I went to Hamilton today, so I'm all about the Schuyler sisters, all about it right now. I had 14 800s to do this weekend, and I'm over the track. I just want to go out for a long run. I don't want to do any more 800s. Tired of them. They were fine. But once the football players showed up, the high school football players, I became incredibly self-conscious. Didn't want to be out there anymore. So I'm excited to just go back out for long runs. So I'm ready for this part of my training to be finished.
That's a lot of 800s, just consecutive.
How many did you say?
14. So you would do an 800 and then walk a 400 and then an 800 and walk a 400. Yeah.
That is a lot of track time.
And it's still pretty warm too, right?
Yeah. I did the first, I think the first 5 in the neighborhood because I had to get my daughter onto the bus at cross country. So I did the first 5 there, but Tim and I had worked the homecoming high school football concession stand the night before. So we were on our feet from 6 until about 10:30 with constant activity. We didn't get 1 second to stop to even take a sip of water. So I didn't sleep well that night. It was just kind of chaotic. So I'm just glad this weekend's over. I'm
dopey training. That's good dopey training.
It is great dopey training.
On your feet, no
time
sleep.
on feet.
Time on feet, yeah, and doing something when you're exhausted and you don't want to, and little sleep. It was perfect dopey training. So,
Hey, Jody, I have a quick question for that about the track. So, 14 800s with the interspersed with the 400s. Do you have a clicker, or do you use Runkeeper or something like that? Because
how do you keep up with it?
I've lost count doing that before, and that's miserable.
I have to. Yeah. When I had to do either 10 or 12, or I can't remember one of the times, I put blades of grass on the to mark off. I know that's ridiculous, but
that's great. I love it.
I'm nobody else was there, so I just grabbed this grass and just laid it out to mark my times. And this time I tried to use my phone from Garmin because I would start my watch every time. So every 800, I would start it and then stop it and then start a walk because I had to do a 400 walk in between each 800. So that was fine, except at one point in time, I could have sworn I had done 11, and my app said I had only done 9, and I thought I was going to just go and cry. It was not good, but then the app just caught up. So it is kind of a mind game trying to get them done. It's not my favorite by far. I'd much rather put on my sneakers and go for a 20-mile run, go out and see wilderness and other people. And I'm not a track repeat, go in circles girl, but Jeff Galloway talks a lot about the what does he call it, the monkey brain or whatever, and that was a beatdown this weekend. So I'm done. It's over. It's complete. I'm happy. Life, we've moved on. So How was everybody else this weekend? How was your week and your training runs?
What about you, Kevin? What's yours like?
Mine was pretty simple. The 2 midweek runs, and then today, just about an hour and a half ago, I went out and did 4. It's still really hot. It was during the week, it was a little bit better, but today the temperature was not that high, but the humidity was just through the roof. But it turned out okay. It's nice to have a down week after last week and hopefully be able to bounce back and take on week 12. That's a lot of miles, but I think I can get there.
Gene, I know you had some trials this week. How'd yours go?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm a little bit behind. I've had some health issues, and so I was catching up this week. I went out to make up an 11-mile run from last week and got 8 in, but I had to stop. And then I got another 6, but 6 was great. It was a self-care day. My wife had scheduled a massage for me, and so I had to cut that 6 off so I could go take care of me. You know what I mean? But I feel good. I haven't had the health problems, this week. I've had some pretty, significant things happen last cycle, so I'm not too concerned about it. I had previously the previous long run week, I'd gone 2 extra miles rather than 9. I'd done 11, so I've actually already done that 11 miles. But I'm gonna catch up. I'm gonna be on track. I'm fine. Just a little bit of a rough week, but not, in the grand scheme of things, not that rough.
Lonnie, did you get your miles in?
Yes, sir. Knocked all 3 of the training sessions off. A little worried about this upcoming week. Yesterday was kind of bad. I'm dealing with some muscle spasms in my neck right now. So when I run, it gets really bad. So I hope I can get that. Yeah, that's what my wife said. She said, you need to go get a massage, but I don't want nobody touching it because it hurts when you even touch it. So that'll be hard. Maybe we could do a virtual massage. Is that a thing?
Maybe so.
I'm not sure how that would work.
Yeah, it's the monkey brain. I can imagine I'm touching you. I'm like, wait, what? But yeah, So did all my runs and felt good, except that last one when I was dealing with the spasms, and I inked out the 3 miles, and I was like, what, that's a wrap.
Right. Well, my training kind of derailed here a little bit this week. Had a little bit of an unexpected surgery. It's going to lay me up for about 6 weeks of no running. Hoping to get some walking in here, probably about 4 or 5 weeks in, start building up, and then I'm going to be working on a modified dopey training calendar from mid-October, hopefully through the training courses, and see where it gets me. Just figure any time on feet I can get after that is just 1 mile closer to being able to complete, but we'll see how it goes. So my updates will be pretty limited here for the next 6 weeks, just because there's not a whole lot to talk about here until I get back up and moving more. So, all right, Tyler, how about you? I know, like I said, you're doing the new your marathon. This is your first marathon. Is that correct?
Yeah, this is the first marathon that I've ever done. I haven't done anything over a 10K before. So I'm at the point in training where every long run is a new personal best for me when I go out. So, it's fun. It's a good accomplishment. And, once I hit, it seems like those first 6 miles go great. And then after that, that's when the grind starts to come in a little bit and start fighting with yourself a little bit with how you feel and getting tired and everything. But, the biggest thing for me is pace, like just watching my pace and not those first 3 miles, not going out too fast and then tuckering yourself out for the last, 8 miles that day or whatever it may be.
So as you're extending out your runs, like you did, 11 last week, the run before that was 9. Are you finding like 9 was tough the week before, but your 11 mile, making it through 9 was a lot easier, but it's just that 2 miles after.
Right. Yeah. So this past week, it was like, I hit 9. I was like, oh man, last week at this time I would have been done. And I was still going, but yeah, it's a mind game. It is, honestly. Like just those 2 extra miles each week is it just teases you sometimes. And, you try to just push through, but for never going that far or anything like that, it's definitely a mind game.
So what made you decide to want to do a marathon? Like what was your draw to join 20,000 of your fellow people at 5:30 in the morning in the parking lot of Epcot to run through the park?
Honestly, it was just, I've been on this kind of fitness journey now for probably 4 years. I had knee surgery, and, you know, I got to the point in my life, I had younger kids, and I was like, you know what, I want to be able to play with those kids. So I started taking my fitness serious and just kind of making goals for myself. And at this point, I'm down about 70 pounds from where I was, you know,
awesome.
4 years ago. And, I needed a goal. I was at that point where I was like, okay, I need to work towards something. It's great, you know, watching what you eat and doing all that stuff, but I needed something that I could point to and say, okay, this is what I'm working towards. And I knew it wasn't going to be like a city marathon or anything like that. Those are great, but it's not quite what I was looking for, especially with this at this point. So I love Disney, and they offered this, and, you know, what better way to get your run in than run through the parks and do that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
So is this your first Run Disney race?
It is. Yes.
Wow. That's so awesome. I'm so excited for you.
Yeah. I can't wait to go down and experience it.
You're going to get hooked. You'll definitely get hooked. It's fun. It's the best.
So you've run 10Ks in the past. Have any of them been like big events where you're a couple thousand people, or are they just all small local races? Or
they were small local races. Yeah, they were not big events at all. They were just, you know, a couple hundred people. So this is going to be a completely new experience for me, to run with, you know, like you said, thousands of people like that. That will be it'll be fun. I think it'll be a lot of fun.
It'll spoil you.
Yeah.
Coming home and you're at the local half marathon, it's got 250 people on it, and it's a lot different for sure.
Yeah.
So what challenges and things have we ran into this week, guys? What have we, anything last week, obviously besides the health issues?
I think for me, like something I've struggled with, I think I mentioned last week, is just trying to stay hydrated and stay fueled up and find something that works. Because sometimes what I found is this, after being this will be my fifth marathon, the things that used to work don't always work every time. So trying to as I get older and as things hurt a lot longer, trying to find out how to recover from it, how to stay hydrated, how to stay fueled up on a long run, because running out of gas on a long run is no fun. So those are the big things for me.
Gene, aren't you an ambassador for like Icy Hot and Metamucil? I mean, can you pass some of that along to Kevin to help out?
Centrum 50 or whatever.
Centrum Silver.
Centrum Silver, yeah. I should be, man. That's a good idea. You know, for me, so much of it's mental. As you have alluded to, I am the elder of the group by 4 or 5 months over Lonnie at least. And things hurt more. The heat, man. I'm not dealing well with the heat this year. And that's what I found. Like when I ran 2 extra miles, I ran 11 instead of 9. It was a cool morning, you know, and by cool, I mean, it was like approaching 80 before I finished. And that was amazing. Yeah, amazing. And it energized me. And then you guys know, I was laid off from my job back in July, and, you know, stuff gets in your head. And man, when I'm a little frustrated, that's not a word. When I'm a little frustrated,
it's a word.
I'm generally very, pretty upbeat, but there are moments where I'm not, and that happens to be on usually on a long run day for some reason. I don't know why. But I find, it's such a mind game, and I got to get my mind right. And listen to the right things. When I ran 8 instead of 11, there was all this, it was hot. I was a little frustrated that day. I wasn't listening to the right stuff. I got to find, it's not music for me. It's not murder podcasts like it has been in the past. Lately, it's been, like thriller books and what I was listening to. I chose The History of Pirates. I thought I was choosing wisely, but apparently it wasn't. It wasn't nearly as interesting as I thought it was going to be.
I don't know, Gene. If you could listen to those murder podcasts and you think about someone coming to murder you on a run, you pick up your pace maybe a little bit, right?
Not in the daylight, but That's so true. There's some trails I've run up. I joke with Lonnie about a place in Fayetteville. I'd run around the lake like a 10-mile trail, and my pace is some of the fastest I've ever run because there's no lights, and that's what I listen to is murder podcasts, and I run fast. I mean, for this old guy,
Yeah. So Tyler, since this is your first experience with the marathon and your first experience over a 10K, so your 11 miles that you just had, that was your longest run to date?
Yeah, that was the longest I've ever gone out and run at one point. Just not, I'm not built like I'm a big guy. I'm 6'6", 240 pounds. So like I'm not built for distance a lot, but so yeah, 11 miles was pushing it for me. So that's one
So
thing.
have you started playing with your fueling at all or dealing with that type of stuff? Is that something that you've started to mess around with?
Yes, definitely. I think is I've missed a couple runs like during the weekend. I've been worried like, okay, when I go out for that next run, am I going to notice something? And I don't. What I do notice is when I don't eat right and when I don't hydrate like I should, that's when I notice it. Even if I'm hitting all my runs and I'm not taking care of myself like I should, I can feel it more than if I miss a run here or there. So yeah, definitely that is something. Then also like I never had to carry water with me when I ran before. So I got like this fanny pack type thing now that can stuff some water bottles in it and just some of those gel packs and things like that that you can have along the way. So those are things that I've never had to worry about before. So it's an experience, but I'm learning as I go here and reading a lot and trying to figure out what fits me best for this process.
And I think you'll find, there's 6 of us on this call right now, and there are 6 different strategies that work. Right. So, that's the problem with distance running is that what works for me may not work for you, may not work for the next person, but that's great.
The strategy that works this week might not work next week.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's something you ate this week that you did fine with could rip your stomach up in mile 6 the next week.
Yeah.
That was kind of my point on mine too. Just, you do something one day and everything's fine. And then it just hits you a different way, a different time. So,
yeah. That brings up the biggest challenge I have during this time period. I know you guys deal with this as well, but when I'm training for doping, I always struggle because I gain weight. Because I'm always hungry and I always want to eat because you're running. You're thinking, oh, I can, I'm good. I'm working out and all that kind of good stuff. But no, it's like an endless pit. You know me, guys. I'm built for comfort, not speed. So I'm not trying to go out there and burn it up. I can't do what Jody does and do around the tracks and work on her speed work. I'm more of a cruise control kind of person. And this is always the time that I gain weight. And so that's my biggest struggle right now, how to keep it off.
Applebee's comes out and throws out unlimited wings too. That doesn't help.
What?
I don't know if any of you listened to that Galloway podcast, but he talked about some post-run formula drink that he does that's supposed to help with that craving of food and so much food after your long runs. So I bought it. I'm not so sure that I am seeing a difference yet, but I actually have the opposite. After short runs, or in particular when I do my pool workouts, which are once or twice a week for me, I'll go swim a 1,800 or a 2,000 in the pool. That's when I'm starving. I don't know what it is about the water, but my long runs, I'm never hungry. Like I'm hungrier on a 5K than I am a half marathon. I never want to eat after long runs. The next day I'm hungry, but not that day. It's weird. I'll talk about different people and different things. Like that's just my,
A lot of mine's mental though, because I figured, okay, I just went out and I ran 10 miles. I can eat this because I burned it off already. So I'm justifying the bad habits, knowing that I probably don't need it. I shouldn't eat it, but because I did it, I know I can do it. And then it just compounds. So that's where that comes into my problems with dieting during the marathons for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So Tyler, what looking at the plan ahead, what are you most nervous about, or what's kind of one of your mental blocks between now and marathon weekend?
For me, it's when the weather starts to turn. I live in Ohio, so once we get to November, December, those months, am I going to really want to go out and run 20 miles when it's 30 degrees outside and, fighting that battle, with that. So that's what's kind of worrying me a little bit is, when the weather really starts to turn around here, what does that look like? I know right now I'm not going to do 20 miles on a treadmill. So it's getting outside and getting that in and getting that done. Not so much about the time that it takes. It's just, okay, is the weather going to cooperate enough where you can go out and do it on the weekend and that type of stuff. So, yeah.
We've been fortunate the past 2 to 3 winters, though. It hasn't got bad till end of January, beginning of February.
Correct. Yes.
So getting through the dopey training, you'll probably be okay through most of it. He lives not far from me. So hopefully we'll be able to even meet up for some of these long runs and some of the rails to trails that we can run on. They keep those pretty well maintained even in the winter. So they'll be beaten down, and hopefully that's not too big of a hurdle for us to knock out here once the weather starts to turn a little bit. But
for me, it's not the weather that turns, it's the lack of daylight, because now your daylight time, and maybe as a female runner, it's something that I think about a little bit more, but my daylight time shrinking so much as opposed to, it's light at 6 a.m. or it's light at 6:30 a.m. And now it's not light until 7 or 7:30 or even 8 a.m. That really makes a difference.
Yeah.
Don't you run at like 4 a.m?
I do. Shh.
So from 4 to 6 it's still dark anyway, so that doesn't change it.
You're not supposed to announce that to people.
Yeah. Nobody asked you that, Jeff.
I'm sorry.
I don't need a murderer to come after me at 4 a.m. At Gene's podcast guy coming after me.
But, it's different.
Statistically, it's going to be somebody that it's not going to be just a random stranger. No, that's been the news, and that's terrible. But statistically, it's going to be it would normally be somebody you know. So I'm just saying,
somebody that's mad at me.
So Tim's who you really need to watch out for.
I told Gene he was going to run in Fayetteville at night, and he's like, "Man, it's dark out here." I was like, "Dude, nobody wants you. Just
You'll be fine.
You'll be fine. As long as you don't stumble across a pack, you're good. But as for a person, you're good."
Hey Tyler, I'm curious. So you just hit that 11-mile milestone, and at each of those, when it's been the farthest you've ever run, how does it make you feel? What does that feel like for you?
It's good because a couple of years ago, I couldn't imagine ever doing anything like that. So to get to that point where, I can do that and then still like walk around the rest of the day and be productive, that it's definitely an accomplishment that you can kind of stick that feather in your cap and, look forward to the next time that 13 miles coming up here, next weekend and going forward.
Yeah, that's good, man. Thanks for sharing that.
So I have one big question for you. What is your costume strategy for race day? Are you planning on wearing a costume? Or are you going to wear lizard gear? What's your plan?
Oh man, I don't know. I haven't thought that far ahead, but like I'm a little bit nervous too because we are going to be going into a little bit of a warmer climate. That's a question I wanted to have for you guys. What is that process like? Going from the 30 to 40 now all of a sudden to the 60 or whatever it may be on race day. How big of a shock is that to your system as we go through that?
Last year, they were all standing with Mylar and sweats and wrapped up in blankets before the races. And I've got a t-shirt and shorts on thinking this is the warmest weather we've had in 6 months.
Right.
So.
But Tyler, it depends. I'll be honest with you. And Kevin can say it. Gene can say it because we were there. We did a dopey one time, and it was what, Kevin, 20?
It was 20 degrees. Yeah, it was
13 below.
Yeah, and it
the wind was blowing like 18 miles an hour, and it was so cold.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. I thought I was gonna die out there. We said we are gonna walk the 5K, and about a mile into it, was like, dude, let's just run. I told Gene I can't be out here.
My throwaways from sweats didn't get thrown away.
Yeah.
I couldn't get to the bus fast enough. I was like, let me in.
My best piece of advice is plan for the sub-Sahara heat and the tundra of Antarctica and pack it all, because you never know what you're going to get. I've been to a couple of Run Disney races where we've had gloves, hats, layers, freezing, and then some other ones where you're perfectly fine in a shirt and shorts. So you never know. And maybe freezing while we're sitting there in the start for 2 hours, like just hanging out because you're not moving yet. But then once the start happens and you start moving, you'll want to start taking some of that off. So the nice thing is I go and get donated, like I go to Goodwill and get throwaway clothes. So I'll wear those for the first mile or two and then take them off and you throw them to the side, and then Run Disney people collect them all and they donate them to local charities. So
nice.
That's a great solution if it's cold while we're standing there, but then hot later. Anybody want to talk about the Mylar blankets, the big tip for that? Because that's always entertaining.
Yeah, that's a good one.
But what do you not do?
You don't throw them away when they give them to you at the end of the race.
At the end, what do you not do at the start line?
You got to have them
at
off.
the start line, you can't have it on you. You have to lift it up
right.
when you're running through, because it won't hit your timing chip. Next thing you know, you didn't finish.
You kicked out.
So, yeah.
We also learned at the 5K last year that if you throw away clothes for the 5K, and then if you just walk towards the back of the 5K, you can pick up stuff for the 10K half and full for the rest of the
Really nice stuff sometimes too.
I've seen it. I've literally saw somebody take off something and throw it on the side, and the person behind them picked it up and put it on.
That was last year.
That
was last year. Somebody was going through and collecting this because I can use this tomorrow.
There you go. See? It's great. But I tell you, you're going to have a blast, man. You really will. It's an experience unlike any other.
Yeah.
So do you have any other questions for us? I mean, we're not experts, but we've been through the process a little bit. Do you have?
Yeah. Do you train? Is it beneficial to train in the morning because the race is so early in the morning? Like usually when I run, it's afternoon. How is it to get up that early and start a marathon or start a race as early as they start?
Adrenaline will carry you. The mornings, you'll be tired when you get up at first as you're getting going. Only doing one is going to be a huge advantage because you don't have the 4 early mornings. Yeah. But as you go through, you're not going to sleep well Saturday night. You're going to be excited, and just know that you're going to check your watch every 15 minutes, wondering is it time to get up yet. But once you get to the corrals and the excitement starts to kick in, you're on the buses heading over, and just the whole energy, it'll carry you. So I don't think it matters if I run in the morning or evening, just because the excitement and the energy of what's happening, it's going to pull you through.
Yeah. I know, Tyler, a lot of people, there's a school of thought with another running group that says that it's best that you kind of right before, like when you do your mock dopey or your mock marathon, that you wake up and you do it at the same time. Like Jeff, I don't think that's the case. I usually train early in the morning because I like to run. I like fasted runs unless I'm doing a long run. It's hard for me to run in the afternoon. Stuff always comes up. I get busy at work, family time. So I usually do it in the morning. But, the biggest thing is as you get ready, I always say there's a Disney trip and there's a Run Disney trip, and they're different. And you're going to be down there and you'll be drawn into I'm at Disney. And especially for the marathon, because, you can put 15, 20 miles on your feet the day before, just parks, not even thinking about it. Right. Yeah. So I would say just plan for that. Plan for if you're going to go to the parks, just try to rest up, continue your hydration, the stuff that you're working on now, so that when it is race morning, you're not trying to play catch up, because if you're dehydrated, it's impossible to catch up when you start running. It just is. Yeah.
And Tyler, choose wisely who you travel with, because if you travel with some kind of maniac who wants to just go and do everything and schedule everything and eat everywhere, and you're trying to stay off your feet, it's very difficult, especially when they put a lot of pressure on you, Yeah. I haven't really experienced that myself. I'm just saying that could happen.
Peer pressure is real.
Yes, it is.
So any other questions, problems, anything going on for this week? All right. Who's got the schedule for next week? What are we looking at? I know it's our first back-to-back weekend. So what are you guys looking at for this week coming up?
I know Jody has it.
You know it.
You got it.
You can touch it.
All right. Week 12. This, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who are doing Dopey, is our first back-to-back. So get those shoes ready, get that time on the feet because it's happening. So we have our normal 45 minutes twice during the week. And then on Saturday, there's a 4-mile walk. And on Sunday, there's a 13-mile run walk. So miles have increased, and now you're on your first back-to-back. The Bennings will not be participating because we will be in Disney World and getting ready to sail on the Disney Dream. So sorry, we won't be. We'll be doing our own little. Well, we'll be walking plenty, but we won't be participating in that part. But the rest of you all, that's what's on your schedule. Yay for you! I unfortunately I do not have the marathon plan in front of me. So Tyler, what's on your schedule this weekend? Is it 13?
Yeah, it's 2 30-minute runs Tuesday and Thursday, and then 13 miles on Saturday.
Nice.
Awesome. So a half marathon, here you come.
Yeah.
Now, are you doing the 13? Or are you going to stop or are you going to go to 13.1 to get that half marathon in?
I'm definitely going 13.1. Yeah.
Nice.
Sure. You have to.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's a big confidence booster too, to hit that this early in the training. That's going to help you a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So, and I can't stress enough the walking of that 4 mile. You don't have to run it. Just getting out and getting the time on the feet, because you're going to be walking so much in the parks. If you rush through that, you're going to lose time on feet. So yes, running gets great. You're going to build faster speed. You're running on tired legs, but knowing when you're in the parks that weekend, you're going to be walking plenty. So if you're just walking it nice and slow and let your feet get tired doing it before you go out for your 13, there's nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Excellent point.
but all right. Anybody else have anything else to say before we wrap it up for the evening?
Thanks for joining us, Tyler. Appreciate you.
Yeah, we appreciate it. It's great
Yeah,
having you.
thank you
Best of
guys.
luck.
Keep up the
Thank
good
you.
work, man. That's awesome.
Yeah,
It's
that's
good
awesome.
stuff.
Keep going.
Yep. Thank
We
you.
appreciate you coming on. And if anybody else out there is interested in joining us for a night and talking about your training experiences and how things are going over the next few months, reach out to one of us and we'll gladly get you on here to have a little chat with us. Jody, good luck next week. Enjoy your trip and get your miles in on the ocean somewhere. And for everybody else, just remember, forward is a pace, everybody. Have a good night.
Good night,
Good night,
everyone.
everybody.
All right.
Take care.